You guys are absolutely crazy. Thank you so much for all the support today. And always, Moonberry Cup is possible because of all the people who help behind the scenes, contributing their time and knowledge. And of course, everybody in chat who's able to subscribe, give subs, all the bits. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to get started here shortly with, for the first time ever at Moonberry Cup, Bingo, featuring IckleChris and Tiyo with the co-commentator Sickly Jack. Get started very shortly. Okay, and we are ready here. We have IckleChris, Sickly Jack, and Tiyo. What's up, guys?
How are you?
Bingo!
Hey, bingo!
Bingo!
Oh, wait, I gotta fix this.
Yo,
okay.
I'm Tiyo. Let's go.
Oh, whoops. Oh, what's happening?
I always wanted to be Tiyo.
Now you're Tiyo.
Oh, there. I'm behind the bingo board. Let's go.
Oh, you're over here. Oh, okay. This is fine, guys.
He's peeking around the corner.
Professional streamer. Tiyo, stop hiding. Come out from there. Don't be scared.
Mr. Maja.
Mr. Maja, good. This is all perfect so far.
I can't believe Tiyo's seen the objectives already.
Tiyo's just peeking behind the reveal.
Yeah.
He sees everything.
Okay, good. So far, so good. Okay. Where's Tiyo? Get out from back there, Tiyo.
Okay.
If we check the board, Jake.
I don't even know the board.
No one knows the board yet, I don't think. Oh, here he is.
I do.
Click to repeat.
Tiyo, yeah.
We got him.
I
We
would
got
love to
Tiyo.
reveal Tiyo.
Tiyo face reveal? There's no bingo. It's just Tiyo's face.
Okay, and here we go. Good. This is all. There we go. Perfect, guys. This is professional streaming by Mr. Majama. You're welcome. First time doing bingo, so thank you guys for bearing with me. And I'm gonna really lean heavily on Chris, Tiyo, and Jake to help out here because I haven't honestly, purposefully, I haven't seen a ton of bingo because I want to kind of look at it from a fresh perspective here. So.
That's
So
for
yeah,
sure.
you're not going to get much help with me and Tiyo, though.
Yeah, they're gonna be muted and deafened, so they can't hear our commentary, get some sort of advantage from it.
I see.
But I'll
Yep.
try my best to kind of walk through, give some examples, explain what's going on
That
as
makes
best
sense.
I can.
Okay, that makes sense. Let me just set up their captures here, and we'll get rolling.
I'm not contact.
God, what happened to Chris's stream?
Whoa,
Oh,
what happened
no.
to my stream?
And I'm still too far to live.
Bean. Oh, should I be doing some six perhaps while we're waiting for
Yo, are those limited time only hype train emotes by the Goldfish?
Whoa! Choo choo, baby!
I
Hype
always
train.
wanted hype hard.
They're so bad. Would anybody want these?
Tiyo, stop going for second apocalypse.
No! I can't get it right now. The pressure of getting of having to show it now is too hard.
Every time you miss second blocklist, I'm just gonna tick off another objective for Chris.
Okay, guys, I think we are set up visually. Anyway, how do you typically start? Do we reveal the bingo card at the same time, and then you guys get a chance to look at it?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is that they can get muted and deafened, so they can't kind of get an advantage.
Okay.
Then you can reveal the card to chat, make sure that they're all ready, get set up on the main menus, and then we'll do a countdown from 5 to reveal the card, and then another countdown from 5 to start the game.
Okay, that sounds good to me. So, guys, I guess you're going to be deafened and muted now, so we'll see you on the other side, and good luck.
Good luck, everyone, but Tiyo.
Good luck, Chris.
Wow, that's a really
I hope you
aggressive
don't-
file
I hope
name
you
as
don't
well, Chris.
cry. I hope you don't cry, Chris.
I love you, Tiyo.
I love you.
Okay, so it's just us now.
Oh,
It's just us. So do I go? I can reveal the card now? Yeah.
Yes, you can. They're going to be not watching anymore. They're going to be ready to play. So just being able to reveal the cards, let people in your chat kind of see it first.
Okay, there we go. I think that should be it. I think that's the card. So bingo is basically, correct me if I'm wrong, each runner is going to be trying to achieve everything listed here, and it's a race to a certain number of blocks, right?
Yeah, so despite the name being bingo, we don't actually go for 5 in a row. The objective here is just to collect 13 of these Celeste-related objectives before your opponent can get them. Once you complete an objective, because we are playing lockout bingo, your opponent can no longer get that objective. So they're locked out of that.
Okay.
That's why you just want to get 13 out of the 25 objectives. It comes down to better routing, execution, and just overall strategy on trying to beat your opponent.
Okay. So can the runners see the board at this point?
They cannot. They're only going to be able to see the board after you count them down in the bingo sync chat. So either you can do that, you can feel free, or you can send me the board and I can try to do that. I don't know, whichever one you prefer.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just let them know that they can look now.
Okay. After they reveal the board, you just give them a second and then count them down from 5, and then they will begin on go.
Okay, perfect. Oh, IckleChris says, "Wait, is Jake in here?" Oh, we should probably invite Jake. Hang on one sec here, guys. Let's bring Jake in. Okay, there we go.
Okay. So Chris wants me to count down, so I'm just going to quickly ask if they are ready. Make sure that they're good to go. Both of them are ready, so we're going to give them a countdown from 5 onto revealing.
Okay, whenever you're ready, go ahead. Go ahead, Jake.
They've both revealed the card, and then we will have them go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Here we go.
Now both of them are off.
So there's a lot of strategy here involved because both runners have just seen the card, so they kind of are going to try and probably, I would imagine, go for objectives that are kind of clumped together. Maybe they can get a few quickly.
Yeah, so we have a bingo mod on right now that makes it so that they cannot skip the prologue cutscenes. This gives them about a minute to evaluate the board and try to figure out some sort of strategy. The first thing you probably want to do is pick off objectives that are quick to do, things that are in maybe the first 2 chapters, things that don't involve a lot of effort, a lot of time to get, and ones that are going to be hotly contested right off the bat. After that, you can try to say, okay, where are the groups of objectives that you were talking about? So on something like this board, quick objectives are maybe 2 cassettes, something that you can do super early on, the berry in a wake, just the one winged berry at the end of chapter 2, things like that. all berries in Chasm, maybe, although that one is a bit out of the way because some of the berries take a bit of time. But they're going to be trying to eye some of these early objectives, beat their opponent to them right away. One important thing to note when we're talking about how you want to decide where to route and kind of which objectives you go for is that we have custom progression in Bingo. So it's not like any percent where you can just beat chapter 1 and unlock chapter 2, beat chapter 2 and unlock chapter 3, and so forth. After you beat a chapter, you'll unlock the next one, but there are some nuances to it. You're allowed one skip. So at any point, you see there's a little assist skip icon in the chapter selection. You're allowed to just skip a chapter completely and go to the next one.
Okay.
There's also core is unlocked at any time. You just need the 4 hearts in order to enter. So you can do that whenever you want. And farewell is unlocked after you beat Ridge. Interesting thing to note. And then chapters 6 and 7 are unlocked at the same time after you beat Temple. So you have to keep into mind some of these custom progression things. And this is going to play definitely into how they want to, which chapter they think doesn't have many objectives is going to be one that they're going to want to skip.
So you can see.
So something I'm seeing from Tiyo right away is that he's collecting a lot of berries. I think he's trying to go for the 20 berries objective, which is also very short to get.
I see there's also 100 berries in there. That seems like a lot of berries.
100 berries is going to be what is known more as a late game objective, something that you're going to go for towards the end. But there are certain objectives that are going to synergize with that. Obviously, the berries for 20 berries. There's also objectives like 4 and 5 winged berries, all collectibles in 3A. You're going to need to get every berry for that. So there are some things that are going to synergize towards 100 berries. So it's not a bad strategy to go for. Chris, on the other hand, got the city cassette, while he's probably eyeing the 2 cassettes objective, something that can get very quickly.
And so just to refresh, if one player completes an objective, it is then unavailable to the other player?
Yes, that is why this is called Lockout Bingo. Your opponent will get locked out from getting that objective, which can be very critical.
Yeah.
If both of you are going for the same objective and someone beats them up by 5 seconds,
right,
you just wasted all of that time trying to complete
yeah, absolutely. Some mental game going on. You have to be fast.
And another important thing to note here is that neither of them can see where the other person is. So the only information you have about what your opponent is doing are the objectives that they took off on the bingo board. So that's another mental aspect of trying to figure out where your opponent is, trying to figure out how long it took them to get certain objectives, and trying to place them in the game so you can try to route correctly.
Or you may assume that, okay, seeing the board, they're going to probably go for this, so then you might try and strategically go for something that they're not going for.
Yeah, you could try to go for things that they're not going for. You could say, oh, maybe they're trying to go for, like if Tiyo ticks off some of the berry objectives, you might think, let me try to steal some of the quick berry objectives to try to hurt his synergy as well. So there's different ways that you can play it. Chris collecting the cassettes, not ticking it off. This is a strategy known as delaying. If you don't think that your opponent is going for a certain objective, you can delay that objective and say, okay, I'm going to hide this information from them so that they don't know where I am.
I see. So even though you've completed the objective, you may not want to check the box yet.
Yeah, it's risky because your opponent can then, in the meantime, get that objective and tick it off. But Chris says it's worth the risk.
Wow. Okay.
So Chris is playing 2B here. He's doing this for a couple reasons. First off is the objective complete 2 B-sides, as just on the board here. So completing B-sides is very important. And going for something like 2B that doesn't lose a whole lot of progress because it takes only a slightly longer than completing 2A. So completing something like 2B, 5B, things that are quick progress B-sides are definitely important. There's also objectives like 3 blue and 3 red hearts. The red hearts you can only get at the end of B-sides. So Chris thinks that this is worth it. Also 5 hearts. Didn't see that on there. And another important thing that is really bingo only are the binoculars. Something that is going to be important for the objective. 1 binocular in 5 chapters. Chapter 2A does not have binoculars, but chapter B does. So Chris getting another chapter with binoculars.
There's a cheat sheet, right, for somebody who wants to try bingo but maybe not really confident with where everything is.
Yes, it should be pinned, I believe, in the Celeste Bingo Discord. There's a cheat sheet. It tells you where berries are, how many berries are in each section, where binoculars are. It has the Chapter 6 heart code, things like that. Information that you might find to be important for a new bingo player.
Yeah, shout outs to Celeste Bingo Cord and to Celeste Community, but I think they do majority of the bingo content, and they are also we're going to be raiding into their stream later today, so there's going to be just Celeste Bingo all day for you guys.
So I'm not sure. Somebody in chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that Chris got either of the binoculars in
Ooh.
Chapter 2B.
You think that's a mental mistake there?
Yeah, it just might be something where he might not have seen the objective. I don't remember him taking that off. I don't remember him getting the binos.
Also, I think you
No.
probably mentioned this, but just to clarify, do they have access to all chapters like right away, or do they have to play through the game to unlock the next chapter?
Yeah, so they have to play through the game to unlock chapters, but there is some of that custom progression that I was mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
So both of them think that Chapter 3 is weak on this board, which there aren't very many objectives there outside of all collectibles in 3A. So both of them say it's not worth our time to get. We're going to skip. They use their one skip on Chapter 3 to go directly to Chapter 4. The only other major progression changes are that core is always unlocked, but there is that 4 heart gate that you have to get past, so you do need 4 hearts. Farewell is unlocked after Chapter 4, although I don't think there's any farewell objectives on this board, so that's not going to come into play. And Chapters 6 and 7 are both unlocked after you beat Chapter 5.
Tiyo not ticking an objective, and chat is not happy about it.
Neither of them are ticking objectives. That or actually, the bingo sync board is not updating.
Oh, okay.
They have been ticking objectives.
Okay, interesting.
Did you
Hang on.
minimize
Here we go.
your browser potentially?
Hang on, let me see. I think I might have fixed it. Let's see. Give it a second here to update.
Right now, Tiyo has ticked off Ridge Blue Heart, 5 berries in 3 chapters, and berries in the start of 1A.
Okay.
Wait, this board is completely different from what you have on screen.
Okay. Perfect. This is the Moonberry Cup, everybody. Thank you.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Give us a second here. Why is this different?
Not really sure why.
Not really sure why either, but give me one sec. Should be able to adjust this on the fly. Hang tight, guys.
Are you accidentally in the wrong bingo sync room?
I mean, it's very possible. We can fix this, guys. Don't worry.
So thankfully, there is actually not 100 objectives, 100 berries. That is not on this board. There still is 20 berries in 7A, which will be tough. Chris, on his play for 2B, was playing for 2 A sides and B sides as an objective. There it is. There's the board.
Hey. Pro streamer, guys. Don't worry. Pro streamer. Okay. Now we are... Tiyo has... So, it looks like Tiyo has 4 objectives to Chris's 0 at this point. Is that correct?
Yes. It looks like Tiyo got some berry synergies. Also getting 2 optional Theo cutscenes as well. So this doesn't mean that Tiyo is really ahead by a tremendous amount. Chris was going for certain objectives in the meantime. Stuff like the 2 A sides and B sides synergy. Something towards complete 5 B sides. So it's 4-0 on the scoreboard, but Chris was still doing stuff in the meantime. Right now, it looks like both of them are going for all berries in Cliff Face. This is going to be a race. One of them is going to be unhappy with the result. Not sure if Tiyo got the objective. So, looks like Chris, I'm not sure if he got that first berry. A common strategy for berries in Cliff Face is to get the 4 later berries that are quicker finish the chapter and then get the last berry. But it looks like Chris got it on the first pass, so he does collect that objective.
Nice. So all berries and cliff face checked off for Chris.
Chris is now also ahead in progress. This is something that is very important, where he is further along in the game, so he has access to the later objectives first. So if you just look at the board, there are a couple summit objectives, 5 gems in the summit, 20 berries in 7A, a temple objective like kill 2 different seekers. He has access to these objectives first. So Tiyo has the objective lead, Chris has the progress lead. It's interesting to kind of see which one is stronger in this case.
Yeah, and again, that's important because this is lockout variant bingo, meaning as soon as one player collects an objective, it is no longer available to the other player.
There's also all collectibles 4A on the board, which is very interesting because they did have to get cliff face berries, but that ties into another objective. Tiyo also with the Ridge Blue Heart adds to that as well.
And
Something
what is,
like complete.
All collectibles.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I guess berries and the cassette and heart?
Yes.
Okay.
That is all the collectibles. The all collectibles 4A isn't terribly different. A lot of the berries are on the way. The biggest change is Shrine, obviously, where instead of going through a 20-second section, you're going through more like a 2-minute section. But they already got the cliff face berries, so both of them have progress towards that objective. Tiyo opting to go back into Resort. He sees that Chris picked off the berries and cliff face before he was able to finish, so he knows that Chris is ahead of him in progress. And he is deciding that instead of trying to compete for some of the temple things, he's going to go back and instead play Resort. Things like 2 different huge mess orders are on the board, which are very strong if he can collect that. And then there's also Reach Old Site and Pico 8, Complete Pico 8, Grabless 3A. So there are plenty of things to be going for here. I think this is a smart play. If you're behind your opponent and you don't think that the late game stuff is too important, you can go back to the earlier stuff and focus on objectives rather than focus on progress.
Was it the fact of that Chris he saw that Chris ticked off all red berries and cliff face, and he knew then that he was ahead. Okay, interesting. This is called bingo, but it's really more like chess, I feel like.
With the mind games, it feels like that sometimes. Tiyo had been giving Chris a lot of information with the tick-offs that he had. He was basically telling Chris, I'm going for berries, in that he had berries in 3 different chapters. He collected the Ridge Blue Heart, so Chris knew exactly where he was. So the only information Tiyo got was from the cliff face berries. But it did signal that Chris was ahead. So an important thing to note. It looks like Tiyo is going to be going for the chests, books, towels mess order, which is pretty standard, going for the regular any % route. But it is an objective on the board as well, which is pretty convenient. By doing this, if Chris wants to go and collect the other huge mess order, he has to do the one that takes longer. It's a bit more awkward to do in books, towels, chests. So this is a good play by Tiyo.
I see one objective. Hit a Kevin block from all 4 sides. That one's pretty easy. I guess it comes down to who gets there first, which in this case is probably going to be Chris.
Yeah, that's basically who can enter Lake first. So barring any changes of heart from Chris, where he goes back to earlier chapters, it looks like he's going to get that. Chris likely going to get kill 2 different seekers. It's a fairly easy objective to do in 5B, a bit harder to do in 5A. But
and by kill seekers, we're not talking about just bopping the seeker, right?
No, we're talking about crushing them using one of the doors, using moving blocks, anything that gets rid of them completely, not just stunning them.
So that was one right there you saw, using that door to crush that seeker.
Yeah, so he should be able to get the second pretty early on. I think it's the first seeker in Mixmaster. So here comes an interesting spot where both of them are in different parts of the game. Neither of their objectives are threatened, but they don't know where their opponent is. So will they delay their objectives? Kind of how long do they delay their objectives? This becomes another mind game that they have to focus on. Chris likely going to complete his objective first in killing the 2 different seekers. So after he ticks that off, Tiyo will know that obviously he did not go back into Resort, and that Tiyo does not have to tick off any of his Resort objectives until significantly later in the game. That is the key of delaying. Trying to figure out where your opponent is and appropriately changing your strategy. Chris killing 2 different Seekers and ticking it off. So now Tiyo has some information. Tiyo knows that he was behind in progress going into Chapter 5, but Chris could have had the same idea of going back into Chapter 3. So now he also knows that Chris continued into Temple, and then it's not really worth him maybe going for some of the later stuff. He knows that he's not going to get something like Bappa Kevin on 4 sides.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he's going into Chapter 5. Let's see what he can try to do here. I guess he could just be playing for progress, knowing that he has the progress advantage in Chapter 3. He does have the huge mess order already of chess, books, and towels, so he doesn't need to tick it off, because Chris would have to go back into Chapter 3 and play through at least 3 minutes of gameplay. So Tiyo has at least that time to delay that and hide that information from Chris. Chris also ticking off 2 A sides, 2 B sides. That gives Tiyo important information about now he knows that Chris finished 5B, has access to chapters Reflection and Summit, and he's probably... oh wait, I was thinking about the other board of the 5 Hearts objective.
Is this a 1-up that we're looking at here?
This is. So for those of you who don't know, there is a feature in this game where if you collect 6 berries at the same time, you actually get a 1-up. So this is one of the objectives on the board, is to collect 3 1-ups. If you want, you can collect more than 6 and get 1-ups for every additional berry. So it looks like Chris might be going for a double or triple 1-up.
The difficult part here is that the berries collect if you touch the ground for, what, 8 frames or something? 4 frames?
I believe it's 9 frames, and when you're collecting multiple berries at once, that extends to 18 frames to give you a bit more leniency on the 1-ups. Either way, it's very difficult to try to maintain these berry trains without dying, without touching the ground. But Chris able to get 3 1-ups at once there. That is a big objective to get.
And now we're tied up, 4-4.
Now, I believe the reason why Chris did that is because he realizes that he was ahead in progress. He finished Chapter 4 first, he finished Chapter 5 first, and he thinks, well, what objectives could Tiyo be going for? He could be trying to get some of the earlier objectives. He could be trying to sneak in some of the quick ones, something like 3 1-ups, if you can do it like that. They're very quick. So he doesn't want Tiyo to be able to add up a bunch of those quick, short objectives. So he came in, tried to interrupt what Tiyo was doing. Tiyo playing through 5A, which is an interesting play, considering there's something like complete 5 B-sides on the board. Also, this doesn't give him a ton of synergy to progress. But he's quitting out and going back to some of the earlier objectives, it looks like.
5 B-sides, that's kind of a lot. B-sides are long chapters.
They are. That's one of the ones that I would say is more of a late game objective. But Chris is building quite a healthy lead there. He has already done 2 B-sides, and Tiyo has none. So that's an objective that Chris can feel fairly safe in so far, and try to focus on some of the other objectives that Tiyo would be going for instead.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, this is Celeste Bingo, just a variation on race. It's kind of more chess than bingo, and this is the first time we're ever having it here on the Moonberry Cup.
Actually, it looks like both of them are going for 5 hearts right now.
Uh-oh.
Tiyo is collecting a bunch of the A side hearts. Chris already has 2 hearts from his B sides. So Tiyo collecting 5 hearts there. That's a big lockout. Looks like Chris was going for his 5th heart right there.
Oh, wow.
Very heads-up play by Tiyo, knowing that by completing the 2 B sides, Chris already had progress towards that objective. So by him trying to go for it instead, wasting a bit of Chris's time in the process.
Absolutely. Damaging move.
Chris going into Resort. Now, this is an interesting spot because Tiyo had already completed one of the Resort objectives. He already has progress by completing Huge Mess. And now Chris, seeing that none of the Chapter 3 objectives were ticked off, is going for it himself, thinking that Tiyo might not have been here already.
So
So
maybe
if
the
he can do it,
huge mess, chest, books, towels.
if Chris can do chest, books, and towels before Tiyo thinks to tick it off, or before Tiyo starts going for some of the other objectives, maybe the Pico objectives, then Chris can get some mean lockouts, stuff that Tiyo would definitely want to take back.
So it's possible that Tiyo already has that objective of chest, books, towels.
It is possible. I mean, he already has it. He already has completed it, but he has to tick it off for it to count. So
Interesting.
if Chris can complete it and tick it off before Tiyo ticks it off, then Chris will have that objective, even though Tiyo had it maybe 10 minutes earlier.
There's a lot more strategy involved. Again, I'm pretty new to bingo, and I thought that the objectives would just like automatically, you would have to tick it as soon as you get it done. But apparently, that's all part of the gamesmanship here.
It really is a risk that you have to be willing to take. Some players don't like delaying at all because they don't want to risk the objectives they've collected.
Mm-hmm.
But if you employ the strategy effectively, you can confuse your opponent, you can hide a lot of information from them, and you can end up winning more objectives by wasting their time trying to go for things that you already have.
This is on Tiyo's screen, I think, with Chasm without dashing.
He's going for 2 objectives here. He's going for Chasm without dashing and the Winged Golden.
Ah.
So he's playing through all of 1A dashless, going for the Golden Berry completely. This will give him 2 objectives at once. It does take a significantly longer amount of time, but it looks like he knows what he's doing. His dashless strategies are very clean. And he knows that Chris knows how to do the dashless as well. This comes into the play of playing your opponent as well. Chris had practiced the dashless objectives, so by trying to go for something that your opponent is strong in, you can try to beat out one of their objectives that they could be going for later. Tiyo also knows that Chris practices the B-sides quite often, so I think he's kind of opting to ignore the B-side objectives.
Tiyo just falling at the end there. This is really tricky to do, dashless. Tiyo making it look pretty easy. So there you go.
There are a bunch of visual cues that are also in the Celeste Bingo Discord that can be helpful for people who might not know how to do the dashless berry speedrun. Tiyo collecting 2 objectives there at once and ticking off the huge mess order.
Oh,
an important thing there. So Chris was going for that order. So that is a big blow against Chris here.
So now he's got to rethink his strategy a bit.
So when you start getting down to the end of the game, you have to think about where your win conditions might be. How are you going to get to 13? So Chris here has a progress lead. So things like 20 berries in Summit, 4 gems in the Summit, 5 gems in the Summit. He's trying to count on those.
Power source.
1 key in power source potentially, although Farewell is open to both players right now because they beat Golden Ridge. So either of them could go for that at any time. But these are definitely objectives that he could be looking at. The ones where he thinks probably he's more secure in are the B-side objectives, considering he had already beaten 2 of them on the Summit objectives. This is progress advantage. So definitely looking towards those objectives.
Jake, don't want to interrupt. Just want to say, hey, what's up? Hello to Bye-Bye. Bringing the love, bringing the big old raid. Welcome in, Bye-Bye. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, everybody, to the Moonberry Cup. This is Bingo for the first time ever, featuring IckleChris, Tiyo, and my co-commentator here, Sickly Jack, holding my hand through my first look at Bingo. It's honestly like very, very big brain stuff, Bingo. It's you really have to know. I'm sure that, like anything else with Celeste speedrunning, everybody starts somewhere, but it just seems like there's so much to know, so much to learn. And knowing where all these objectives are, which ones to go for, the strategy, the mental game where you're waiting to tick off boxes and things like that. It's just like very overwhelming, but it's super exciting.
It's a game mode where really anybody can beat anybody else. Execution advantage doesn't really play as much of a factor as a straight up any percent race might, because knowledge of bingo objectives, knowledge of routing and decision making and delaying, all of that comes with experience, can take somebody who might have an execution disadvantage and win the game for them against a stronger player. So Bingo really is a fantastic game mode in that sense.
Tiyo now with looks like 9 objectives, if I'm counting correctly, to IckleChris' 5.
Yeah, so Tiyo is just collecting the 15 berries in 2 chapters. He had already had some early berries from 5 berries in 3 chapters that he was doing beforehand.
So here's an example of, so both players going for the same objective. Tiyo doesn't know that Chris is much further along now in the same objective, right?
Yeah, this is very big for Chris. This is giving him the opportunity to make a few objectives up that he's behind. Because if Chris starts ticking things off, he's going to be wasting as much time as Tiyo spends. So the first is going to be reaching Old Site, which is going to come up fairly soon on Chris's screen. He could choose to delay that objective or tick it off right away. The problem here comes if Chris delays, thinking that Tiyo is somewhere else because he ticked off something like 15 berries in 2 chapters. He might think, oh, there's no way that Tiyo is in Pico 8 and delay the objective. So hopefully Chris ticks it off right away. He does.
Nice.
There it goes. It turns red.
Smart play.
So Tiyo exiting out of Pico, knowing that he's not going to be able to get complete Pico first. Now here's a big decision that Tiyo has to make. He has to think, where can I collect my last 4 objectives? What do I need? He's behind in progress, so something like the summit objectives might be a bit harder for him to reach. Now he knows that Chris is in resort, so going for something like the huge mess order that wasn't ticked off could be risky. He's playing through 5A, I guess, to try to get access to some of the late game objectives. Completing 5A would be quicker than trying to beat 5B at this point. So he's trying to make a play at some of the summit objectives, potentially. Chris, on the other hand, has an advantage in the summit objectives by being ahead in progress. And he has an advantage in complete 5B sides, as well as going to be able to complete Pico 8 very soon. So potentially putting himself at 11 objectives if he was able to collect all of them. This is turning out to be a very close game.
And I'm assuming with bingo there are there are bingo cards of bingo cards of different like skill level?
The way to try to pair people up by skill is more just find someone who's at your experience level, someone who maybe has a similar time in Celeste categories that you do. But when you load up a bingo board, it's going to be all the same objectives. I know a good advice that I would have for people who are trying to get into bingo is just find somebody else who hasn't played, someone else who's expressed interest, and say, just start playing each other, because you'll learn off each other. You'll get that information, you'll get that experience, and it'll be in a way that's fair to both of you. It's not like you're playing somebody who's kind of out of your league.
Yeah, shout outs to the bingo Discord.
That's true. And if you want to try to find somebody to play in the bingo Discord, there's tons of people who are always looking to play. If you're a newer player, you can say that, and they'll try to give you some sort of handicap, try to make it a bit more even, a bit more fun for both players.
And guys,
Chris
stay tuned.
Summit.
Chris into Summit, and just wanted to say, guys, stay tuned. We have more bingo after this race, and then at the end of the event today, we're going to have a world record attempt any percent run by Bye-Bye, and then we're going to be following immediately into Celeste Community Bingo. So stay tuned for all that.
So Chris going into Summit is here for 3 objectives. All of them take a fairly long amount of time in 20 berries, 4 gems, and 5 gems. So by doing this, because he's here first, he's likely to get all 3 of them. This would put him all the way at 10 objectives. You see, he just ticked off complete Pico 8 for his 7th. So 10 objectives is very difficult for Tiyo to overcome if he enters Summit as well. Because it's something that he really would not be able to catch up on, as he would be trying to do the same things as Chris.
Yeah, at a certain point, would Tiyo realize and just kind of concede? Is that what happen? Does that happen?
If you know that you can't win, then you usually do concede, especially on a board like this where Chris trying to get his last objective might take a while on something like completing Grabless 3A or all collectibles in 4A.
Mm-hmm.
But it really depends on what he does. Tiyo also entering Summit. This is where it gets dangerous because if Tiyo doesn't realize where Chris is, he could lose out on all 3 of these objectives and a lot of time. It really depends on when Chris ticks off an objective. Likely 20 berries will be his first. If he's going for all of the berries from here in Summit, then he would collect his 20th berry in 1,500 meters. But that still is a few minutes away. And if Tiyo doesn't leave, he would just be wasting his time because he wouldn't be able to get those objectives.
Mm.
It looks like Tiyo is foregoing the berries, however.
What do you
So
think
he might be making a mad dash to try to just get to the 2 gem objectives as quickly as possible, hoping that Chris goes for the berries and slows him down. It's a bit of a gamble by Tiyo, but it could pay off.
Interesting.
Because he's going for 2 out of the 3 objectives, saying, all right, Chris, you want the berries, take them. I'm going to be going for where most of the objectives are. He is behind. Not sure if he knows where Chris is, but it is a gamble that could pay off depending on how long it takes.
Binary Blob, did you say there was one more bingo after this? Yes, we have one more bingo match right after this one.
Some rough deaths by Tiyo here. It's slowing him down quite a bit. Chris is ahead by about a full section in Summit, so trying to make this up without that many berries left for Chris to go could be a bit too much.
Too much of an advantage here for Chris.
Yeah.
Even though it looks like on the scoreboard he's behind, he's actually ahead.
He's definitely ahead on these objectives. If he's able to get all 3 of them, it would put him at 10. He does have the advantage for 5 B-sides. He's completed 2, while Tiyo's completed none. So that would be potentially his 11th. So Tiyo would be down 2 objectives, and he would have to be competing for different things that they both have access to. They both have access to a key and power source. They both have access to the huge mess order, and they both have access to core blue card because they both have the 4 hearts. So this could be deadly for Tiyo if he doesn't get any of these summit objectives. Tiyo just exiting 500 meters. Still slightly behind. Chris going for the berries. There's only a few left before he hits 20. There's a handful left in 1,000 meters and then a handful early on in 1,500 that he would have to get. But it's looking like Chris has a slight advantage here, time-wise. The good thing, though, is that Tiyo is not too far behind. He does still have to collect this gem in 1,000 meters. It also comes down to if Chris is willing to delay. Because it's late in the game, and these are crucial objectives, I don't think that he would delay them.
Mm-hmm.
But if he thinks that Tiyo is somewhere else, it is an option. The thing is, though, that Tiyo has not ticked off any objectives recently. So it is likely that Chris would have to take that information and think, where could he be? So sometimes your opponent taking off an objective gives you information, and sometimes them not taking it off gives you just as much. Him not taking off an objective means he's not going for something quick. He has to be going for some of the longer objectives. And the most logical choice here, obviously, is where the objectives are grouped in Summit.
Chris skipping a couple berries there. Has he got his 20 berries?
Now that he's skipping berries, I'm not sure what his count is. He must be close.
4 gems in Summit there.
Taking it off right away. Now Tiyo has to know that he is very behind. He's close to where Chris is, but he's behind in progress. He doesn't have any of the Summit berries. This is a rough position for him to be in. He has to make a decision now on if he thinks that he can race Chris to the 5th gem, or if he should back out and try to get a lead on maybe one of the other quicker objectives. Chris still going for some of these berries, so it's possible for Tiyo to make up this time. But the problem is the gem in 2,000 meters is very, very quick. It's right at the beginning. So there's not a whole lot of time for Tiyo to make this up. Chris already entering 2,000 meters right now.
Tiyo running out of time here.
Yeah, and as we've seen, Chris is not willing to delay these objectives. He wants to tick them off right away and secure them. It is still possible that Chris could have some costly deaths, but it is looking like this is his objective to lose.
Worth mentioning, I think that even just knowing where to go, and a lot of this stuff is difficult to do. Both of these runners are pretty accomplished at the game, and it shows.
Yeah, one of the coolest things about bingo is that it really incorporates different aspects of the game. You have to be good at speedrunning the game. In general, you have to know where the berries are and be good at all of those rooms. You have to be good at B-sides and farewell. And it really just shows you how much time they've invested into learning this game and kind of perfecting it at a high level.
Looks like 9 objectives for both players. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Chris also with the heavy advantage in the 20 berries. He should be ticking that off fairly soon. Don't know his exact count, but I would expect that to be ticked off in the near future. Tiyo opting to go for the huge mess order. I believe he's also playing Grabless here, which I think is important. Grabless 3A is on the board. You have to be thinking about it. It might not be something that you want to go for. It's a bit of a longer objective, but if he can go for the huge mess order while doing a Grabless, that's going to give him a massive advantage in that objective.
And that's you can control that through variant control, right? To turn off the grab?
Yes. So that's one thing is that Grabless, you have to be turning on the Grabless variant. It's in the menu, something easy to turn on and off. There are a few things that are, I guess, challenge objectives in this game, which are Grabless, Jumpless, and Dashless sections. Grabless being the most common out of those 3. But this one, there's an easy variant that you can turn on and off for that. Chris at 10 objectives, but now he's going for something that Tiyo is already doing.
Oh.
This could be an important lockout. However, Chris is not doing it Grabless. So in theory, he can be doing it a bit faster than Tiyo. He has the ability to grab. So
interesting.
By opting to not do this Grabless, he could be stealing potentially an important objective away from Tiyo.
So Tiyo trying to knock out 2 objectives at once, but it's slower. And Chris might be able to knock out one of those objectives because he's not doing a Grabless, right?
Yes, exactly. Chris, I think, getting a little confused about where Oshiro is. When you're doing these objectives on different mess orders, it can be a bit confusing. So Tiyo, about a full section ahead, just finishing towels. Still has to go through a challenging chest section without his grab, excuse me. Some of the rooms are very difficult, especially I would say the second room of chests. If you don't have a strategy for it, you could waste a lot of time. So hopefully Tiyo is prepared. Looks like he has a strategy, just quick death. There he goes. It looks like Tiyo is going to be able to get this objective, which is good for him. If he missed out on this one, this would be very difficult to come back on. Because when you start talking about that win condition that I was mentioning earlier, Chris really has a big lead on 5 B-sides. That's not something that Tiyo is looking to contest anytime soon. So it is more like Chris has 11 objectives. So if Chris was able to get the huge mess order as well, this would be devastating to Tiyo. That would put him at 12 objectives to 9, and it would be very difficult to come back. However, Tiyo is doing the very risky thing of delaying this objective, and I think it's going to cost him. Chris ticking it off.
Locks out number 11.
You can see that pause. Tiyo is not too happy.
Oh.
So now Chris really has 12 objectives here. If we're being realistic, I don't think Tiyo wants to contest the 5 B-sides, and being 2 chapters behind, I don't think it would be realistic that he would be able to contest it. So Tiyo really should be in a place that is easier to contest, the quicker objectives. Like a key and power source, core blue heart, these are things that are much faster than all collectibles 4A, Grabless 3A. These are the places that I think that he should be to try to just lock Chris out, try to extend the game as much as he can. Tiyo instead opting for Grabless Demo.
Wow. Yeah, that was impressive. Grabless demo.
But Chris, I mean, getting this key and power source is really going to clinch the game for him. It would be more of a matter of time. So Tiyo, hopefully after beating Elevator Shaft, quits out, potentially. Not quite. So I think in Tiyo's mind, he thinks that Chris was also going for Grabless Huge Mess Order at the same time as him. That he has to compete for this objective. The unfortunate part of this situation is that you have to make a read and stick to it. He made a read. It was the wrong one.
Yeah.
Sadly, but that's the
You
nature of the
commit to
game.
it, yeah.
When you're behind, you just have to commit to trying to lock out your opponent. Sometimes you can kind of out metagame yourself by thinking, oh, of course Chris is going for the short objective and power source, while realistically he's going for a long objective, thinking that, of course he thinks I'm here.
Right.
And it just kind of turns into this weird metagame of who's doing what. But unfortunately for Tiyo, it's not going to work out for him. Theoretically, he could come back still if he tries to contest power source potentially, or if he goes straight into B sides. You never know with Bingo, but Chris does have a big advantage right now. Oh wait, I forgot. He didn't do the 3A start Grabless, so we're going to be seeing this instead. It looks like Chris is going to be able to get the power source key in the meantime.
Okay, so Grabless 3A, he had done from the starting in the middle?
Yeah, so he didn't do it on his first pass. The thing with the Grabless objectives is that you can break them up by checkpoint. So when you see something like Grabless 3A, you can do the checkpoints in any order you want. You can do them at any time you want. It doesn't have to be continuous. So he didn't do 3A start originally with the Grabless variant on. So now he has to go back and do it at the end.
And Chris making his way to power source. Here he's going to just need to grab one key to lock out that objective.
There are some very tricky objectives in Farewell, but this is probably the most tame of them all. There are some like Reach Event Horizon where you really have to play a lot, or Intro Car.
Time consuming, yeah.
Where there's a bit of an Easter egg on the car in Prologue, the intro car being in Farewell. That's a bit of a tough objective.
I don't know where Chris is right now. I've never seen this screen.
He's playing through power source. All he has to do is turn off the power here and then collect one key. It's not too much of a time loss here. You can go for the turning off the power with the jellyfish, which is a fun little strat. I don't think Chris plays Farewell too much, so he might not be familiar with it. Going for the safe route. Can't blame him. Wants to secure the objective. Tiyo now opting for all collectibles 4A.
Prof Neon says you also get one assist skip per chapter for a chapter.
Yeah, you get to skip one chapter. So both of them skipped Resort on this board. You typically skip the longer chapters maybe 3, 4, or 5, depending on which ones you think have the most value. You typically want to skip chapters 1 or 2 because they're short anyway. You don't gain a whole lot of time by skipping them. So both of them skipped Resort, which is a common skip.
So Chris, I think, got the key and power source, but didn't tick it off, right?
He has not ticked it off yet, which is interesting. I believe he didn't tick it off because he saw Tiyo tick off Grabless 3A and decided that Tiyo must not have been in Farewell. I think that's an objective you do want to tick off, especially if it's going to be your 12th objective. You just want to make sure that you can secure that objective at the end of the game.
Tiyo going for all collectibles here.
So this is where I was talking about before, where by completing the all berries and cliff face objective early on, they both had some sort of progress to all collectibles in 4A. So this is someplace that he might think that Chris would go, considering he had progress towards it. And it looks like Chris is actually
going there, yep. But advantage Tiyo on this one, yeah?
Actually, I think Chris might just be going for hearts to go for core blue heart.
Ah.
Looks like he wasn't playing through Shrine for the berries. He just wants the hearts. So he had the 2 red hearts early on from completing 2B and 5B. He just collected 2A and 4A hearts. So now he can enter core.
He's checked off the power source key.
And it looks like he's going to wrap up his win here. It's pretty much, unless Tiyo makes a read, quits out. But it looks like Tiyo's committing to Chapter 4.
Would Tiyo have any possibility here if he did quit out? Is there any strategy he could win
If
with?
he quit out, I mean, it's always possible. The problem is Chris always had that 2 B-side advantage in his pocket to kind of fall back on. So even if Tiyo could quit out now and beat him to core, and even though he has an advantage in the collectibles in 4A, trying to make up a 2 B-side disadvantage would be very difficult to do. It's possible, given how long the objective is, but I know Chris is very well versed in the B-sides. Played some Benny percent. He was going for some very fast times in 1B and 2B, so I don't think that it's something that Tiyo would want to do, and it's something that would be a bit hard to do with the 2 B-sides that he was already down. Tiyo does have 4 hearts. He ticked off the 5 heart objective. He was able to get 5 A-sides, which is very rare. But it was a good read from Tiyo because Chris was going for 5 hearts at the time.
Tiyo flexing that.
Going for first blockless.
Easy. Making it look very easy.
Tiyo did say that he wants to do second blockless. We'll see if he's daring enough to do it. But Chris making his way through core.
Core blue heart is all that remains.
The only way I can see Tiyo trying to make some sort of comeback is through something called multitasking. Usually when you have a lead, when you're at your 12th objective, people like to multitask by doing multiple objectives at once. Because if you go for 2 long objectives, like all collectibles in 4A and 5 B-sides at the same time, your opponent can't beat you to both of them. That's the idea. Is that if you go half and half, and they have to commit all into one of them, they might take that objective, but then you'll have a massive advantage in the other one.
Interesting.
So it's possible, but I think Chris is pretty committed to completing core. We'll see. This is a checkpoint right here. So if he quits out, then maybe. But, oh, the quit out.
Whoa.
Okay.
Hang on.
Anything is possible. Oh no, he wants to go back in. Okay, well that was almost really dramatic, but not quite. Chris just wants to mess with us a little bit.
He's a showman.
Turn up the drama for about 2 seconds and then turn it back down. So Tiyo in the unfortunate situation where he has to commit to objectives, just not committing to the ones that Chris is doing. It's very difficult to read because Chris really could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes your opponent might not have access to a later objective and you can kind of narrow down where they could be, but Chris has access to all of these and has demonstrated progress to all of these objectives. So pretty difficult for Tiyo to try to make the read anyway.
Did Tiyo get the collectibles in 4A?
I believe he got all of them. Yes.
So yeah. Waiting to
so now he's in the spot where he has to delay.
Mm.
When you're down, you have to put some faith that your opponent was where you thought they were. Yeah. He has to believe that Chris was in Chapter 4 and delay it enough that he's wasting Chris's time. Gives him a little bit of an advantage trying to go for something like Core Blue Heart. Because if Chris was in Chapter 4 and he delayed it properly, then however long he delayed, that's his time advantage in getting Core Blue Heart.
Mm.
So he kind of has to go for this play. It's not going to make the difference because Chris already is in Heart of the Mountain. But given the circumstances, it's the right play by Tiyo. And there's the tick for the 4A collectibles. So Tiyo thinking, all right, if Chris was in Chapter 4, at least I'll give myself a 1-minute advantage in core. Chris, however, in the last section right here, just a few more screens. A very close game, however. Remember that Tiyo did have one of the huge mess orders completed, and then Chris ticked it off after he delayed it for a bit
Tiyo
too
could
long.
tick off, yeah.
So if we took that into account, this is a 12. This could potentially be a 12-point game in Tiyo's favor. So
yeah, that's incredible, and that's another aspect that I was not aware of. I thought you just finish the objective and you check it off and that's it, but that's really cool that you can kind of delay and because it does give away your position, right?
yeah, so there's a lot of power in it. Like Tiyo delaying the first huge mess order got Chris to waste a bit of time doing the wrong objective, but then him delaying the second one might have ended up costing him the game. So you really have to determine when you want to delay, how to employ it, how long you want to do it. And it's very tricky. It's something that comes with experience, but ended up hurting Tiyo a little bit today. Chris,
Okay,
in the
finishing
last
up here,
room,
yep. Heading to that
this will
heart.
be GG.
That's a GG.
Really impressive by both players.
Yeah, actually insane. Like the level of gameplay that just kind of like was casually happening. That was the most impressive to me. But wow, what a race! Let's welcome
And it's
these
really
guys.
fun to play at a high level in bingo too. The nerves are going, especially at the end of the game. You're trying to get that last objective, and it's really impressive.
GG to both runners.
That was
I
exhausting.
threw.
Tiyo through.
Tiyo, it was just the delay on the second huge mess order that killed you.
Yeah. That was like going into Summit wasn't, I think, the worst idea. It was still not a great idea, but it wasn't the worst. But delaying it killed me.
I mean, trying to
leverage
rush
was
for
on.
the gems made sense. It almost caught you up back to where Chris was, but you were just a little bit too far behind entering Summit.
I wondered what was going on. I wondered why Summit felt like it was being left alone.
He was there. He was just a little bit further behind.
Yeah, I hadn't Summit unlocked, so
He was
I
playing through the end of
assumed.
5A trying to get there quick.
That was really impressive stuff. Thank you
Yeah.
guys. Shout outs to IckleChris, Tiyo, and Sickly Jack, all streamers. Celeste, professional Celeste players. Bingo is so like big brain. Like I've never actually, sat down and been a part of a bingo match until just now, and it's like there's a lot going on. You guys not only super impressive with just the gameplay, casually. Let me just go do Dashless City real quick. Knock this out. Like really high level gameplay, and then on top of that, there's this element of gamesmanship that I didn't know that you could delay ticking objectives because objectives kind of give away your position, and it's like there's a lot going on. So thank you guys for being part of the first Moonberry Cup bingo.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you,
I can't wait to watch it back and see how mean Jake was.
Oh yeah, it was brutal, of course.
Extremely brutal. I don't know if it's gonna be able. The VOD will be available because of the language that was used, but we'll see if we could sneak it by. Okay, guys, thanks again, and we'll see you again for another bingo match, hopefully in the future.
Sure thing.